I'm not sure what to do about my and my GFS relationship. My girlfriend and I have been in a monogamous relationship for less than 2 years, but I'm not sure whether I should continue with it. My feelings for her haven't developed to the extent I believe they should, so her feelings towards me aren't being very well reciprocated. She's a wonderful person, incredibly caring and kind, generous, smart and thoughtful. I have no issues with her personally, but my feelings for her aren't at the same level of hers for me. She has done nothing wrong, and has been incredibly patient and understanding with the lack of time I've been able to spend with her or be in the same place as her, and has very rarely mentioned me not being around. When she does, I feel very guilty, because I completely agree with her. My absence has not been fair on either of us, especially her. She bottles it in, and it's fairly obvious that this is an issue for her that she's trying very hard not to bring it up with me too often. Personal context: have had severe depression for years, have experienced similar loss of feelings in the past after 6 to 18 months in a relationship a few times before, but not sure if that's because I'm not with the right person or what it is. Not sure these things are related, but there's a reasonable possibility of at least some impact from one on the other. I have been away on and off, more often away than there this year, for work, and while I am trying to move back closer / find an alternative job that is closer, I don't think that will fix much or any of this. I'm scared to tell her some / most of these things because I feel like revealing or talking about some of it might be unnecessarily hurtful for her. Physical intimacy makes me feel incredibly guilty because I've been feeling this way, almost like I'd be taking advantage of her, to the point where I have been actively avoiding doing anything, which also feels bad as I know it's something she wants to do. I have been in relationships before where the other person has cheated, and looking to end this relationship without something so impactful happening doesn't feel very good or fair, so I'm conflicted. I have also not had a huge amount of long-term relationships in the past, maybe 3 to 4 long-term relationships in my life, so my experience is limited. I don't want to hurt her more, but I feel like this is not / has not been sustainable for a long time, especially when I know our feelings aren't on the same level. I want her to be happy, and I think staying with her is only hurting her more, both with me not being around and not having the feelings I think someone should have in a relationship. Comment. First, you have to decide what you want, stay together or not. You don't factor her in at this step. What do you feel, and is this in your best interest? If you want to stay, lay out everything as you see it, including your fears, expectations, and struggles. Let her decide if she feels like this relationship is worth her investing more into, even if there's a good chance it is a dead end. If no, then you need to break up with her. The kindest breakup is one that is empathetic but firm. You cannot leave the door cracked open, no talk of being friends or potential romance down the line. A clean break is the kindest break. Tell her that you still aren't feeling as much as you want to, and that you believe it would have happened by now if it were going to. Let her know it's not her fault and that you only wish the best for her. If she starts pleading, compromising, or becomes angry, tell her that you're sorry, but there isn't anything to be done about it. The worst thing you can do is be nice to the point of overshadowing the finality. Next story 2. I met my girlfriend at the group's 40th birthday party. Background: during the pandemic I got back in touch with a group of old school friends. I was close with a couple of them all along, via video calls, and it was quickly apparent that I had loads in common with one of them, now 38, and we got on really well, but he was married. After the pandemic we all kept in touch and it became a really good group of friends, going to each other's weddings, chatting every day in a WhatsApp group, etc. And then this guy that I got on really well with told us that his wife had left him. He and I quickly began seeing each other after this. He got a divorce, and it was quickly clear that this was as more than just friends. It felt like the pandemic really had silver linings for me, bringing our friendship group back together, and a new relationship, after I'd been single for a long time. Our relationship wasn't perfect, we always got on really well and enjoyed spending time together and being affectionate, but I never felt a great deal of sexual chemistry, and would sometimes feel frustrated when I met other men who I was more physically attracted to, though I never acted on that. I tried to be honest with him about this to avoid giving him the wrong impression, and he said that although he was sometimes sad that I didn't feel the same as him, the good times more than made up for it. So we tried to keep things fairly casual and continued seeing each other on weekends. We were each other's best friends and we went on romantic weekends away together. Then in June this year, after we'd been seeing each other for a year, he told me that he loved me and that he wanted to know that I wasn't going to see anyone else. At this point I was really happy seeing him and wanted to continue this, and didn't want to see anyone else, so I gladly told him that I wasn't going to see anyone else. I thought this was obvious anyway. But I didn't tell him that I loved him back. Part of me wanted to because I did feel a lot for him, but since I'd had these misgivings, I was concerned about being careful not to give him the wrong impression, so I just held him really tightly. I was extremely moved and happy that he'd said this, and to think that he really did love me, as nobody had said this to me for about 20 years. Unfortunately, this happiness didn't last long. A week later I had to go away for work for 11 days, and after I returned he suggested having a video call to look at my trip photos. During the call, he suddenly said, "Hey, you know how we're really good friends but you don't feel the same as me about the other bits? Well, I've decided we should keep the friendship bit and I'm going to look for the romantic aspect elsewhere." He came round a week later to talk to me in person, but his mind was made up. 5 days after that, he told me that he'd been out with a woman from a dating app and that he'd enjoyed it. I didn't blame him for coming to this decision at all, but coming so soon after telling me he loved me and wanted me to be exclusive, I was completely blindsided by it and felt somewhat betrayed. He'd never previously given any indication that he was considering this option, or asked me how I really felt about him. Moreover, I was just devastated to lose him, and hurt that he didn't want to be with me anymore and had seemingly moved on in very little time. I found myself feeling absolutely heartbroken and was barely able to eat or sleep for a couple of weeks. I'd never been dumped before and it was probably the most emotionally traumatic event I've ever been through. It's now been 3 months and I've stopped contacting him to try to get over this, but I'm still missing him every day and crying about him at night. As I'd been on my own for so long before and I'm now 39, I think I felt like this might be my last chance of happiness. I don't think his suggestion of us being friends is really going to be feasible. I can't think of him with someone else without crying. But the extra problem is that we share this friendship group of old school friends, and I don't have many other friends nowadays. I've already left the WhatsApp group so that I don't keep seeing his messages there. But now they are suggesting a big joint 40th birthday party next spring for all of us. I'm finding it very hard to deal with the prospect of turning 40 next year and still being single, and a big party with my friends would probably help me deal with that. Except that my, now, ex will likely also be there. We're all the same age, and he'd be pretty likely to be with a new partner by then. I can't imagine being able to be around him and a new partner by the spring without it feeling totally heartbreaking, and I'm not the best at managing my emotions when I'm upset. I also can't imagine having a new partner myself by then because I've always found it difficult to find relationships. So I'm now faced with the dilemma of having a joint 40th party with my friends, but where I might end up spending half the time crying because my ex is there with his new girlfriend, or staying at home on my own for 40th birthday, probably crying about that instead, and missing out on a party with my closest friends. This is really compounding my depression about being abandoned by my ex and being alone again. It seems that those silver linings of the pandemic weren't so silver after all. Next story 3. My girlfriend has a male best friend. I feel stupid as fuck even typing this, but I have to vent somewhere, and where better than Reddit. I met my girl on Tinder about a month ago and we hit it off pretty much instantly. I really like her, and things are going great. We've only been official for about 3 weeks. I'd love to say I'm not insecure and this doesn't bother me, but it does. She has a male best friend in the military who she's never met in person, but has texted, FaceTimed, with me present, and games with. Now I don't mind that, but the way she was talking with him on FaceTime got under my skin. I might just be jealous, but it's off-putting seeing her all giggly with another dude. Now she hasn't hidden him from me, as I said she FaceTimed with him present, she told me he's an old friend and all that, but I can't help feeling if she had the chance to, she'd jump his bones. Now I know this sounds stupid given the last sentence, but I do trust her. She introduced me to her family and everything. If he continued to stay afar I wouldn't be concerned right now. However, he's coming home in a few weeks and she said she's gonna take him out to the clubs as a wing woman to get him laid. As a dude, I'm not having a female friend unless I find her unattractive, e.g. like a sister, or if I'm trying to get with her. I trust her, but she's proven to be uninhibited when drunk. I don't want to force myself to tag along to this club, especially when I'm not much of a club goer. But I also fear of a YOLO moment as he's only here for probably a week or so. We even talked about boundaries and she said to me no female best friends. But she can have him. I don't know. I guess I'm looking for validation here. More so of a rant. I know I probably come across as insecure, but my gut is telling me this guy is not just some friend. Comment. Yeah, the major red flag is her telling you that you can't have any female best friends. When someone sets a restriction like that, it's either because of past baggage, or it's because she knows what she would do with her male BFF. There's a reason people don't like their partner having friends who are the gender they're attracted to. My advice: communicate. Don't nag, don't accuse, don't argue with her, don't forbid her. Just talk to her and tell her your concern, explain how it's one-sided and tell her that is most of what makes you uncomfortable. If she's planning on staying out with him all night, I personally wouldn't like that, because she clearly likes him. Bro, she said no female friends, and you were gonna let her go out and get drunk with him while she's trying to get him laid? You're not controlling, you're letting her walk all over you. She's gonna get him laid. No female best friends. But she can have him. This is the weird part. If she's known him since toddlerhood, she probably thinks of him like a brother, but the one-sidedness is odd. If it bothers you, you should tell her you don't want to contact him anymore. However, is this just insecurity? Why would she want to get him laid if she was interested in him? If she really wanted him, why wouldn't she just wait the few weeks until he came home and made him hers? Also, why can't you trust her to be at a club with him? I would trust my so to be in any state of inebriation in any location and not cheat on me. It seems like you don't trust her. Which is fine, but you should probably talk to her about your concerns so you two can address them together. He is more than just a best friend. And they have a connection that transcends mere friendship. You are the safe backup plan. He is the new exotic model that she wants to test drive. If he shows mutual interest in her, then you will become the dumpy. Yes, she will feel bad about using you, but that will be weak gruel compared to the emotional pain of being played. It could affect your future relations with other women. If I were you, I would continue to play the role of the trusting and secure boyfriend. And when the other guy is in town, and you are away from your girlfriend, I would hire a professional to keep tabs on them and report back to you what actually happened between them. If nothing happens, then great, you are still solid with your girlfriend. OTOH, if she cheats, you will have proof and can righteously dump her first. Don't live in doubt. It only festers with time and will make you miserable.